Japan is dying. Japan had 720,000 newborns last year and 1.6 million deaths. That is 2 people gone for every newborn.
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, welcome on board. So today we are on the road, traveling the roads of America. I've told you in one of my videos. So in today's video is about Japan dying, literally. Like, Japan is experiencing a population collapse, right? A lot of their older citizens are dying, and they are literally begging Africans to come help them out. They are expecting people from 4 African countries: Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique. Right now they have 4 towns or cities designated for Africans. They are literally looking for people because half of their older people die. About 1 million people die every year in Japan. So literally they are left with less younger people, and one of the reasons is because a lot of their people or younger people are no longer giving back to their children, you know, and it's largely due to how expensive the standard of living is, and most of them just don't want to give back to children. So now they are looking for Africans. They are having labor shortages, right? So guys, I want you to watch all these videos lined up for you. I want you to let me know what you think in the comment section. Should Africans go to such countries and, you know, help them out, or do you think it's a form of exploitation, you know, from the Japanese people, you know? So watch the videos and let me know what you think in the comment section.
And this isn't a recent trend. Japan's population has been declining for 15 years straight. Japan's population is expected to fall 30% by 2070, so 124 million to 87 million, and 4 out of 10 people will be 65 or older. Generations are going to become smaller and smaller, which is really bad because you have less working people supporting a growing elderly population. In 1980, there were 7 working age individuals per retiree, but now there's only 2. Japan will disappear eventually if something doesn't change, and Tokyo has been scrambling. Dating apps, cash perks, 4-day work weeks, relaxed immigration laws, those have been all on the table, but is
there a more urgent issue in Japan right now than this demographic crisis?
There are climate change, government deficit, but if there's no people living in Japan,
it's all relevant. Climate change and government deficits and the military if you don't have people living here.
That's right. The central door is only for the emperor when he...
A longtime high-ranking minister in Japan's parliament, Taro Kono, was nearly elected prime minister in 2021 and says he intends to seek the highest office again.
What does Japan look like if it continues to shrink like this?
There are less and less number of young generation, and the older burdens are on the young generation, and they won't be able to sustain. So society is going to be breaking up. Economy is just going to stagnate. Even for self-defense force, last year, we recruited only half of what we need.
The Japanese military.
You feel it.
To move to Japan. They're actually encouraging people to move to Japan.
Bro, I saw a YouTube video on that. This dude was, I think he moved from like LA or somewhere in California, and for like 110 grand, he got like 1.5 acres or something like that, or more maybe.
Well, Japan is experiencing population collapse.
What?
Yeah, they're not having kids at a replacement rate. So replacement rate means like if there's 2 parents, you should have like 3 or more kids. Like you have, if you're trying to replace the people that are here, when you think about how many people are going to die of old age, how many people are going to die, how many people are going to live, how does the population sustain itself over the course of the next X amount of generations? Well, you have to have a high replacement rate. And right now, Japan has a very low replacement rate. Like, it's spooky low. We're at the point where they're in a panic, and they're trying to figure out how to encourage people to move to Japan, how to get people in Japan to have kids.
Oh, because there's like
a lot of incels, though.
That's
what it is.
But no, what I'm saying is like I mean, that's got to be kind of scary because if they're not replacing people, that means like fucking jobs won't get
not just jobs. The country's gonna go. There won't be any people left.
What do you mean? I mean, there would just be way less people, but it's not like they're gonna all disappear.
Well, they'll all die off, and if they don't have kids,
I'm worried about like who's gonna fucking farm and take care of the animals and shit.
Yeah, well, there's going to be less of that too, but they're probably the people that will have kids, is the farmers and the rural people. But what is Japan's replacement rate? It's very low, right, James?
Our replacement rate, we're all right, right? We're not getting knocked up like crazy.
A little weird too. Yeah. We're in a weird situation too.
I feel like
there's
all
a
my
lot
friends
of people
knocked
here.
Up their girlfriends already.
Well, that's good. That's nice. There's a lot of people here, and there's a lot more people aren't having kids than have ever before. It's different. we're not in danger, but like South Korea is in danger. Like South Korea, the replacement rate is really bad. Yeah, I think it's something crazy, like how many people that are alive today will have grandchildren, and it's very small.
Japan has started to crumble, and it may bring down the whole world's economy with it. For nearly half a century, Japan was the world's piggy bank. It pumped trillions into global markets. Everything from buying US Treasury bills, funding airports in India, metro lines in Australia, you name it. Its pension funds grew so massively that they became the single biggest foreign owners of everything, from European bonds to Silicon Valley tech stocks. At its peak, Japan's net foreign assets topped at $3 trillion, more than any other country on Earth. Whenever Wall Street or Frankfurt needs liquidity, Tokyo was there with an open wallet. But now, that piggy bank is running empty. In fact, the tables have turned. Japan's debt to GDP now sits at roughly 260%. That means Japan owes roughly 2.5 times more than the total size of its entire economy. For comparison, the United States, which is often criticized for having huge debts, has a debt to GDP ratio of around 125%. Even Japan's own prime minister has openly admitted that their financial situation is worse than Greece's. Greece faced several debt crises around a decade ago that nearly caused Europe's entire economy to collapse. At the very worst point in that crisis, Greece's debt to GDP ratio peaked at around 190%. You see, for any economy, even giants like the US or China, there are a few critical factors that ultimately decide its fate. First, it's demographics, basically how a country's population has grown or changed over the past few decades, and how it'll evolve in the coming ones. Like China, whose workforce peaked back in 2011, compared to the US, which still sees growth thanks to immigration. Then there's debt. But it's not just about how much a country owes. It's more about whether it can manage that debt without choking its own growth, and its capacity to service it. Finally, it boils down to productivity, innovation, and institutions. These decide if an economy can effectively turn resources into real growth, and whether it can maintain solid access to global markets. In the end, all these factors work hand in hand to keep things running smoothly. But the moment one starts to slow down or fails, it gradually pulls down everything else, bit by bit, until the entire economy starts falling apart. And that's exactly what's happening to Japan. In 2024, just 720,988 babies were born in Japan. To put that number into perspective, over 1.62 million Japanese people died that same year, meaning for every baby born, more than 2 people passed away. And this is Japan's biggest challenge, because the country's population has been declining steadily for the past 9 years straight. Japan is literally running out of people, particularly young people. Japan's population peaked at around 128 million back in 2010, and it has been shrinking ever since, dropping to roughly 123 million by 2025. And if this wasn't already a problem, Japan also has one of the highest life expectancies worldwide, nearly 85 years old on average. Living longer might sound great, and it is mostly, but from an economic perspective, it brings serious problems. Fewer young people means a shrinking workforce, weaker domestic demand, and lower tax revenues. At the same time, pension and healthcare costs for the elderly keep skyrocketing. You see the cycle, right? The government has tried various measures like financial incentives for families to have more kids, better childcare support, and even slightly relaxing Japan's traditionally strict immigration policies, making it a bit easier for foreign workers to come and help fill the gap. But there's only so much these measures can achieve. Cultural and structural factors like high cost of living, small housing spaces, delayed marriages, and more women pursuing full-time careers mean birth rates remain ultra low. Currently, it's hovering at around 1.2 children per woman, way below the roughly 2.1 needed just to keep the population stable. If nothing changes, by 2050, Japan's population will fall below 105 million, and possibly even 87 million by 2060. In simple terms, without dramatic actions, year after year, the tax base shrinks, public spending grows, and Japan gradually loses its ability.
Breaking news, Japan is designating 4 cities to be the home of Africans from 4 countries. And those countries are Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique. Now, Japan has been notorious for keeping out foreigners, and Japan is facing a massive crisis. It's facing a massive crisis of lack of population growth. So hospitals and schools have been closing in Japan for the last so many years. The biggest crisis they have right now is that they have a very large aging population, and now they are realizing that they have to open the doors for Africans, but they don't want the Africans to be mixing with the Japanese people, so they have created and assigned 4 cities that will become the hometowns for Africans. It makes me laugh because, like, what is it about Africans that, you know what? We Africans should just refuse to be treated this way. That they don't want the actual Africans to mix with normal Japanese people, so they have to assign locations where Africans will stay, will be confined. And because I don't think people realize just how right-wing Japan is. Tell me, what do you think about this? Why is it that Africans allow themselves to be treated and I know Africans need to go to places because it seems like because opportunities are thin on the ground. But how can we just continue to just be treated in this way? What do you guys think? Just let me know in the comments what you think about Japan designating 4 cities in which Africans can live in Japan.
So, a lot of people are talking about this recent announcement from Japan. You've probably heard the story already. Japan has designated 4 of its cities to be the hometowns of Africans from 4 countries: Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique. And immediately the reaction from some people was, here we go again. The Japanese want Africans to come and work for them, to pay taxes, to help develop their country, but they don't want those same Africans to mingle with their people.
Japan is facing a massive crisis. It's facing a massive crisis of lack of population growth. So hospitals and schools have been closing in Japan for the last so many years. The biggest crisis they have right now is that they have a very large aging population, and now they are realizing that they have to open the doors for Africans, but they don't want the Africans to be mixing with the Japanese people, so they have created and assigned 4 cities that will become the hometowns for Africans. It makes me laugh because, like, what is it about Africans that, you know what? We Africans should just refuse to be treated this way. That they don't want the actual Africans to mix with normal Japanese people, so they have to assign locations where Africans will stay, will be confined.
Some even said this is Japan's clever way of creating little African zones, like putting people in separate corners, just to use their labor, but keep them apart from society. Now let's slow down for a second and look at the facts, because when you actually study what Japan has done, the story is not quite what it looks like at first glance. Yes, Japan is facing a serious demographic crisis. The population is shrinking, schools and hospitals in rural areas are closing down, and the country has one of the largest aging populations in the world. They need young people, they need skilled workers, and they need fresh energy to revive some of their communities. That part is true. But here's where people get it wrong. Japan is not building segregated African camps. What actually happened is that at the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD 9, Japan launched a symbolic program through JICA, the Japan International Cooperation Agency. They picked 4 Japanese cities and they matched each one with an African country. For example, Kisarazu in Chiba Prefecture became the hometown for Nigeria. Why? Because Kisarazu already has ties with Nigeria. It hosted the Nigerian Olympic team during Tokyo 2020. That bond was there already, and now they want to build on it. Nagai in Yamagata Prefecture was linked with Tanzania. Nagai is a small city that has been struggling with depopulation, and through this initiative, it will host Tanzanian workers and students, helping both the city and the people of Tanzania. Sanjo in Niigata Prefecture was chosen for Ghana. Sanjo is a city known for its metalworking and craftsmanship, and Ghanaian youth can gain skills there while also contributing to the local industry. Imabari in Ehime Prefecture was assigned to Mozambique. Imabari is Japan's shipbuilding capital, and Mozambique has a long coastline and maritime interests, so the partnership makes a lot of sense. So these towns were not chosen randomly, and definitely not as isolation zones. They were selected because of existing ties, economic potential, and opportunities for skill sharing. Now some people still ask, but why assign cities in the first place? Why not just let Africans live anywhere? The answer is that this is about structured cooperation. Japan wants to make sure that when people come, they don't just get lost in Tokyo or Osaka, but actually connect with local communities where they can be welcomed, supported, and integrated into industries that need them. It's about creating a bridge that benefits both sides. Africans get skills, experience, and opportunities, and Japanese towns that are dying out get a second life. So when you hear people say, Japan just wants to use Africans but doesn't want them to mix with their people, that's not the real story. The truth is that this is a diplomatic and developmental initiative, one that highlights respect and partnership. It's not perfect. Japan is still very conservative when it comes to immigration, but this is actually a rare and important step forward. If you look closely, it's not about pushing Africans into corners. It's about opening doors. Carefully, yes, but in a way that might create long-term opportunities for both Japan and Africa.
Shocking news: Japan, a country long known for resisting immigration, officials have introduced a new visa program for African migrants. This isn't small scale. The government has designated 4 Japanese towns as hometowns for migrants from Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, and Mozambique, giving them safe places to live and work. Why now? Japan's rural areas are vanishing. With fewer babies, no workers, and aging families, once thriving towns are being abandoned. Even factories and farms can't find staff. Under previous programs, Japan had already welcomed hundreds of thousands of foreign workers, mostly from Asia, in sectors like agriculture and eldercare. But this move marks a bold shift, inviting Africans to become part of rural revival itself. Officials say this is not about handing out favors, it's an urgent strategy to breathe new life into shrinking communities, while offering African migrants new opportunities abroad. This is a historic moment, Africa helping Japan stand tall again. Countries have depended on Japan for aid for decades. Now it's Japan asking. Shocking news: Japan, a country long known for resisting immigration, officials have introduced a new visa program for African migrants. This isn't small scale. The government has designated 4 Japanese towns as hometowns for migrants from Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, and Mozambique, giving them safe places to live and work. Why now? Japan's rural areas are vanishing. With fewer babies, no workers, and aging families, once thriving towns are being abandoned. Even factories and farms can't find staff. Under previous programs, Japan had already welcomed hundreds of thousands of foreign workers, mostly from Asia, in sectors like agriculture and eldercare. But this move marks a bold shift, inviting Africans to become part of rural revival itself. Officials say this is not about handing out favors, it's an urgent strategy to breathe new life into shrinking communities, while offering African migrants new opportunities abroad. This is a historic moment, Africa helping Japan stand tall again. Countries have depended on Japan for aid for decades. Now it's Japan asking Africa for help.
The land of the rising sun needs black men. They need black men to plant our seeds, to spread their garden.
Full tea, full shade, but the person that actually made this video needs to go to jail. Like, actually. I know this whole trend about, like, Japan needs black men came from, like, the incel corners of 4chan, but actually, like, the comments are so fucking weird and so fucking uncomfortable because there are actual people that think like this. It's always the military men that are like, oh, I was stationed out in Okinawa, I was stationed out there, and Japanese girls love me. No, they fucking didn't. They fetishized the shit out of you. They did not like your black ass. I do not support the US military because of their imperialism and colonialism, and then when it comes to the Asian women especially, they think that they're gonna be trying to get like these demure and innocent and pure Asian women because that's the way that you guys think about like Asian women. It's all part of your Orientalist thinking. I've met so many Japanese women who have said like they cannot bring home a black man because their parents would not approve. Is that really the reality that you want to be living in? Let's look up the history of US men and Asian women on Okinawan territory and get back to me because it's not giving and it's not a good look. And I know there's so many videos about like Japan has a dying population, like all this shit. Like honestly, who gives a fuck? There's an increase of mixed children existing in Japan and I think that's a great thing. But coming here for the specific purpose to impregnate Japanese women is the weirdest and strangest thing I've seen on the internet in a very, very long time. Anyways, jail.
Alright, so if you are a Nigerian or a citizen of any other African country, you want to draw closer and pay attention to this video. So at the just concluded Tokyo International Conference for African Development, which just ended on August 22nd, there was an important announcement that was passed by the Japanese government. So they are saying that within the next few months, they will be rolling out an immigration pathway to help workers from Nigeria and other African countries to come to Japan. In fact, they even, as an honorary mention, they designated certain cities after Nigerians and other African countries just to recognize how important they will be in helping the Japanese workforce. Of course, everybody already knows that Japan is currently having a population decline. So if you are following this channel, as time progresses, when that immigration pathway is announced, you'll be among the first to know. In addition to that, if you are a citizen of Nigeria or any other African country and you are a legal resident of Canada, the USA, the UK, Taiwan, Singapore, Brazil, South Africa, you can definitely apply for an electronic visa to visit Japan. So basically, e-visa or electronic visa simply means you don't have to go to the embassy. You can simply apply online and they'll just ask you a few questions. And the total visa fee is about 3,000 yen, which is about 31,000 naira. And the website for you to apply for that e-visa is mfa.go.jp. So again, save this video, share it to as many persons as possible.
And if you haven't subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button, hit on the like button, and hit on the share button. And also don't forget to hit on the notification bell in order not to miss any of my videos. See you in the next one. Have a great day. Have a look. We're in Alabama right now, so see you guys.